Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I would first of all like to thank the organizers for organizing this roundtable, I think which comes at a very relevant time. We still hope that the Parliament will possibly in the very near future, possibly even this month, adopt the ratification protocol, upon which then the commitments that Ukraine has taken in the negotiations for the Energy Community Treaty would then come into effect, and obviously Ukraine would then have to implement very swiftly some of the European acquis in this field. I think it is very timely. I unfortunately have not presented or prepared a PowerPoint presentation on this specific issue, and I think the speakers have already before me gone into much detail about the environmental implications of the Energy Community Treaty. So I'll try to keep my intervention short and then allow more time also for discussions. I find it, however, quite curious that the fact that this today's roundtable does not focus on the market acquis of the Energy Community Treaty, which I think most people have been focusing on in the past, but on the environmental side. And I think this is quite important because obviously the environmental acquis is a full part of the Energy Community Treaty and an important part of our own acquis in the field of energy. This is not obviously not least because energy is obviously a major polluter, especially a major polluter in terms of air. And a lot of the European acquis in this field, obviously, that dates back a couple of decades, was originally intended to combat issues such as acid rain that were affecting the European forests. Since then, obviously, things have moved forward quite rapidly, and a lot of the acquis that we're adopting now and that will be or are to some extent already part of the Energy Community Treaty, but will be gradually integrated into the Energy Community Treaty, obviously linked now to our efforts to limit CO2 reductions and other pollutants in the air in the context of our efforts to limit climate change. So I think it is very good that focus is being put on this aspect, also in the context of the ECT. Why was the environmental acquis included in the Energy Community Treaty? I mean, obviously, the protection of the environment is one of the concerns, but the others is clearly simply because if you are in a community of equal members that can trade energy in a large market, you have to make sure that there's a level playing field between those who produce it in various parts of Europe, and to ensure that there is therefore fair competition. So we cannot have parts of Europe adopting very strict measures on sulfur contents in fuels, or on the exhausts of large combustion plants, and not apply it to other members who can trade in that market. So I think that's important. I think there was in the outline of this conference also the question of what other issues, to what extent environment will play a central role in our association agreement. Yes, the environmental chapter of the association agreement will be, if it is concluded, will be a very important chapter, but I hope that you have an understanding that I won't go into details into what is being negotiated, because the association agreement is still under negotiation. But environmental chapter will be one of the most important ones in terms of the acquis that we hope Ukraine will commit to implementing under the association agreement. On the Energy Community Treaty itself, I mean the treaty as it stands today, and I think this is quite important again to emphasize, this is a moving treaty. As there's new acquis coming in both in market regulation, in both competition fields, but also environment, this acquis will gradually be adopted by the Energy Community Treaty upon voting of the members of the Energy Community Treaty. So if we're talking today about the fact that there's 4 key directives that Ukraine would have to implement in the field of environment, this is the situation today, and might look quite different in 2011, 2012, where additional acquis might be required for implementation. Today, basically, the commitment that Ukraine has engaged upon are to implement the directive on wild birds, probably by 2015, 1st of January 2015. This is Directive 79, which tries to ensure the conservation of migrating bird species. I don't know to what extent Ukraine will have problems with that, but Ukraine has already complied with a number of international conventions in this field. So we hope very much that this should not pose a major problem. The other important directive is obviously the Directive 9711 that ensures that there is proper environmental impact assessment. This is a major concern for Europe, and this directive would have to be implemented by the 1st of January 2013 in full. And this obviously would include also the stipulations of proper public consultations on environmental impact assessments. But I think the 2 key ones for Ukraine now, obviously, what are called, first of all, the Large Combustion Plant Directive, the 2001-80, because it calls for the reduction in emissions of sulfur dioxide and OX in the exhausts of major thermal power plants. And for Ukraine, this is obviously a major challenge, but it is not only a major challenge, I would like to emphasize, for Ukraine, but it has been a major challenge for a lot of Eastern European countries that have joined the European Union, as well as for the other members of the Energy Community Treaty in the Balkan countries. So this is a major directive that has a target date of the 1st of January 2018, and maybe because that date looked so far away that people have tended to ignore it. But in view of the important investments that are required in order to bring large combustion plants of above 50 megawatts into line, but also to ensure that there is proper monitoring of the emissions of power plants, both above 50 megawatt and above 100 megawatt at a continuous rate. This is obviously a major step that Ukraine would have to take in order to comply with this by the 1st of January 2018. There is 2 ways to go about it: either comply with this directive on each of the power plants individually, but I understand that countries can also opt out of the individual plant approach and adopt a national plan for the reduction of emissions that would allow them to keep some of the older plants operational, but invest into a lot of newer plants at the same time. So I think this remains of the major directive to implement.